Have you wondered why this strange force brought you here? Have you wondered what thought appeared so that you, instead of doing something else, decided that you want to sit here and be here to discover the interesting perspective on how potentially, how likely it is to discover something that might be happening behind the scenes when you try to self-develop, when you try to find your purpose, when you try to find the ones you want to serve. Have you found already the key to how you are evolving? If not, or if you are wondering if it is the key you are looking for, I invite you to really sit with me for maybe less than an hour to check what might be one of the most interesting methods that you can think of in terms of seeing yourself, your path, your purpose, and your way of serving that is available. The method that works not only on the ancient knowledge about chakras, but as well on the knowledge of hero's journey that gives the steps of self-development, of going to the next level. This knowledge that I want to show you, I want to share with you, the knowledge that has been built on top of all those wisdom received, blessed with, while going through those chakras from top to bottom and from bottom to top, because they are so important, and the move from bottom up and move from top down is as important as the second one. So this whole aspect of us as human beings, our development from the very young age through being the kid playing around, running as teenager, and then going into adulthood, is one of those elements. The chakras that I was talking about, and the chakras that you already discovered by going through those webinars that have been organized about each chakra. They are this other element and this third element, because the three is very important in here, is this hero's journey that we discovered as well. So what are those initial connectivity points in here for us as human beings to chakras? Being a holistic human being is the synergy of this body, mind and soul, the spirit, the physical aspect, this physiological aspect, the mental aspect, the mental and emotional aspect, this psychological aspects, and this spiritual aspect. As well, going into the very core of what chakras are about. They are being said to be the will and cycle, the wheel of time, the wheel of dharma, so will of realizing your own purpose. Chakras are part of the energy etheric body that is invisible for normally developed senses. What you will discover as well is that those senses are limited perception of our holisticness as human beings. Chakras are main energy converters that convert life energy, so the prana, into physical energy, and can convert the physical energy as well back to the subtle energy. They are these switches that convert this incoming energy, usually received by the crown chakra, and they are converting it to the smaller energy sources that energize the whole body. They are connected to main organs in physical body. As you see as well, there are three groups of chakras: the material ones, the mental ones, and the spiritual ones. Each of these groups is this aspect, this wheel that you go through to discover this next stage of you. Chakras, to function properly, they need to be in alignment. The out of balance chakras need to be worked on to get back into balance. The lower physical dimension related chakras are keeping individual story in physical body and mind aspects. The heart chakra is the source of transformation, and when working properly enables to move out of the physical only needs. Proper alignment of lower chakras enables journey to expand on higher levels, just untying those knots that keep us from moving farther in the aspects that we have. Reaching out the higher spiritual aspects lets the great speed up of the growth of lower chakras. So this move from top up, from top down, is so important. This moving into higher aspects of ourselves starts to leverage the intuitive aspects of you and me as holistic human beings. These cognitive aspects like mind, thoughts, emotions, desires, instincts, and the physical body as senses stop being the tools that are enough to discover your spiritual aspects. The higher chakras are linked to specific gifts, and as well those gifts that usually start to reside in throat and third eye chakra, they are as well in need to be let go to enable move to this highest aspect, to the crown chakra aspect, to this completeness as human being on this physical level. The third eye chakra is the point of no spiritual reversal. So when reaching this chakra, you are conscious of your union, of you being one with everything else. It's not only with people, with everything else. Third eye chakra as well enables access to higher aspects of knowledge like cosmic knowledge and ability to generate scriptures. And what is so profound about the crown chakra, it is the chakra that powers all lower chakras that function as switches, what we mentioned. The balancing of this very chakra balances and purifies all lower chakras. As you see in here, for the root chakra, it provides groundedness. For the sacral chakra, it enables the proper creativity. For the solar plexus chakra, it is really to stabilize your success in the world. And for the heart chakra, to provide the expansion, to provide the courage, the curiosity of your heart. Throat chakra provides the expression of your true voice. And this third eye chakra provides the connection with this inner knowing. So already those aspects that enable you to go out of focusing on this external world and starting to focus on your internal world and starting to close your eyes to get your responses. The crown chakra, finally, it enables to go into this highest state of consciousness. What is so interesting about chakras is that this Kundalini energy flow that we've been following throughout the chakras, it culminates in crown chakra and enables the self-realization, this samadhi, this finalization of the journey is often called differently in different regions. Probably those sound familiar. The things like nirvana, samadhi, kaivalya, self-realization, enlightenment, communion, heaven. Do they resonate with something that you were taught as this highest stage that you can reach? As well, this culmination point is the point of going into this ultimate unconditional love that has no judgment, loves everything that is created, that is functioning. That is life. Now, this hero's journey, why it's added to the mix in here? The hero's journey is canvas for self-improvement. It forces the character to disconnect from these physical aspects to pursue the unknown. Hero's journey forms a cycle of growth. Hero's journey highlights the courage as the starting point, going out of comfort zone. Sounds familiar? This hero's journey as well is this split into entry and exit stages, and these three major stages that guide the journey from the entry stage to exit stage, from the status quo to the new status quo, from starting point to the point after your evolution, after your next stage of you. So this entry stage as status quo, stage 1 as departure, stage 2 as initiation, stage 3 as return, exit stage, so new entry stage for new evolution, is this new status quo. And as you remember, on the entry stage, it represents this status quo situation, so the situation is happening, the life is happening, and it's quite stable. You are living normal life in your comfort zone. Those daily scenarios, they are repeatable. Environment is quite stable. Activities are quite stable. Processes performed by hero are repeatable. There is very little progress and development. Boring, yeah? From life's perspective, boring. So, the next stage is stage 1, which takes you out from this boring situation to something that is unknown. But this is your call for adventure. It is revealed by some slight changes or some careless mistakes that you do. Something that pops up. Something unfamiliar. You don't know if you should pick it up, if you should decide really to engage with something that you yet don't know. The mind says, okay, stay in comfort zone, it's not something for you. Don't go to film yourself. Don't go for public speaking. Just close yourself, stay at home, and don't move. Lie in bed all the day. Boring again, but in here it gives you something, already gives you the clue that something will start changing. So you either have the option to refuse this call, as quite often the mind or ego just talks you out of this idea to pursue this new direction, but there are a couple of attempts in here. This alternate path sometimes is engaged, so the path where you have usually some struggles around not taking this action, because this comfort zone becomes not comfortable anymore. And if you decide, on the other hand, after just struggling in this refusal call, or you just pick up the call to adventure and say, okay, I know something new is happening. I know it's good and I'm picking it up. I will check on the road what it is. I will grow my wings on the road. So this is where this supernatural aid starts to happen. When call is not refused, you usually have kind of protective figure, protective situation, something that guides you. Maybe master, maybe guru, maybe your spiritual guide, maybe something in you that resonates and knows where to go. This being sure that you take the right steps. This internal voice that tells you, yes, pick it up, try it. So then, after this decision, you cross this threshold, this present identity limits. You decide to change something about yourself. You change to upgrade yourself. You change to develop yourself. So then this fifth step, so this belly of the whale, so this place where your current identity, the identity that you are living in, it starts to be decommissioned, dismissed, and then you start to grow something new. You start to grow from physical aspect, so focusing only on your security, safety, into mental aspect. So really feeling secure on the basic level, and then thinking about what I want to do, how I want to serve. Then maybe you evolve farther out of this mental aspect into the spiritual aspect. You discover the spiritual world. So then you lose this previous identity and new one grows in the womb. Next is the stage of initiation, where there is this road of trials. So really you decided, but it's not an easy decision. So you say, okay, I want it, and you just receive it. It's not this in this physical realm that this is so simple to say, yeah, this, yeah, sure, have it. In here, usually it's the road of trials. The mind, fears, and this spiritual labyrinth start to happen. So this other aspect, this other step, sometimes this meeting with Goddess, where those barriers, you overcome those. You have this final test, really, while bit struggling, bit being tested, bit really having this rhythm, being, progressing step by step to win your life. You have this aspect of woman as temptress, this old regular life as obstacle to new identity. So you remember that you had this identity, and you remember the safety, the comfort zone that you had in there, and you are going back and thinking, okay, maybe this old way was better. But this is your test. This atonement with the Father, so abandonment of the attachment to your ego that is not your enemy. Ego just wants to protect you from really doing something that is unknown. Ego is in there to be loved. Everything in you is in there to be loved. everything in you is in there for you to discover it and say, I know this is the best that can be right now in this situation for me. This culmination then is this union in self-psychological battle to find this ultimate gift within. So discovering how important it is to love your inner self, not everyone else, but first your inner self, a starting point that enables loving everyone else, but so profoundly. And this ultimate gift, breaking through the personal limitations into ever expanding realization, is then possible. And then on your way to return to this reality that you started from, then it's to go back with this transforming trophy and on the other hand you can stay. So this refusal of return, but in here, in the context of just finding this ultimate destination, might be this cause that you don't want to go back to this old reality. You want to stay in this newer reality for higher reasons. The magic flight, this return with elixir. So if you discover your spiritual self, you then say, okay, it's great. I want to share it with everyone. Everyone get to discover your highest aspect, your spiritual self. It's so cool. It is so interesting. It guides you so well. It gives you such huge access to happiness, such huge access to unlimited wisdom. And then you start to use this transformation. Then you as well can be rescued from without. So you may need to be brought back by the life call. As well, you might go back and really just start to be in this human dimension from higher dimensions. As well, you can function as master of two worlds, so functioning as this cosmic man or cosmic woman with freedom to pass back and forth like lots of yogis did. Lots of yogis that I was discussing about. This ultimate gift of really having this free will on being anywhere at the same time, to work between, to be this gatekeeper, to be this bridge between those aspects of us as human being that we are working on, this being on physical aspects and physical reality and being in the higher reality can be combined. You can as well function as this kind of proxy between those, as this kind of teacher that shows the way, shows how it functions. And you can have this freedom to live on the battlefield of life, free from longing and selfishness, being guided by heart, being guided by this unconditional love to everyone, to every human being, to every animal, every plant, our planet Earth as well, the whole universe. You feel love to everyone. You want to expand your inner light to everyone. You want to charge anyone. And this exit state, so setting the new status quo. So this status quo for the hero, this new one, it can be the beginning of another journey with same background to grow certain aspect if you didn't yet love this aspect fully, or can be totally new journey working on this different aspect of self that you were brought here to work on, or you brought yourself here to work on, or you were brought by higher consciousness to work on. And just moving to these connectivity points, those that usually show what are those thresholds, what are those spaces on chakras, is on the path of Kundalini, those 3 knots, the Brahma Granthi knots, this knot that enables move to mental aspects from physical aspects, this Vishnu Grantha, Vishnu knot that enables move from mental aspects, personal aspects, to higher aspects, and this Rudra Grantha, which is this aspect where you release from really attachment to all those elements around you. You just go into pure spirituality. This flow of Kundalini energy as well, as you see in here, those knots are those steps that it passes. Those need to be untied for the energy to move up. And those thresholds of trials connected to the hero's journey, this physical dimension, then this threshold, then personality dimension, and the threshold to just go out of that into this spiritual aspect of hero's journey cycle. As well, this connectivity points where you start to close your eyes to get the answers. You start to close the eyes to really discover your inner world, your inner aspect. Discover how beautifully working machinery, technology, this complexity and simplicity all at once functions. You close your eyes to discover that. You just close the senses or refocus everything into really discovering what is happening inside of you. Because knowing what's happening outside of you, it's usually this daily practice on physical aspects and mental aspects. So, what this path of chakras and human hero's journey is about is really to show you how this journey usually works out of the experience, out of these ancient scriptures. It works on those 3 levels and with those 3 elements across. So on physical level, going through those physical chakras, growing them, growing the security, growing the relations, growing those aspects of yourself, and then having those hero's journey cycles for this aspect to grow, to go over this bottom knot, to untie this physicality, Then on the mental aspects, you go as well from really basing on the will, following the heart, and just settling on this thing that your ego, your personality, your mental aspect, your emotions, they need to be worked on if you still need to have some healing on the road. But then those cycles go with this status quo and they start to create another one, another challenge, another step of the journey. And when you land in the spiritual aspect as well, reaching to the highest aspect, to the crown chakra, to the spiritual aspect, where you work on your gifts, you work on the detachment of really focusing on having those gifts and using those gifts and just going into pure unconditional love, is this highest aspect that as well goes through this path of chakras and human hero's journey. To just give you the focus of how it might be functioning, like on human being level, the stage 1 might be new material world test. Then the stage 2, it might be this abandonment of attachment. Then on stage 3, rediscovering your true purpose. On the mental aspect, new mental ability, emotional as well, the experience and trials of these mental situations, these emotions that we usually unveil, that we need to work on, the fear, the anger, the other emotions that need to be settled on, these mental abilities, being sure of yourself, being self-confident. Those are the aspects where you stabilize yourself as character, as this personality, like identity. And on this spiritual journey, this new spiritual discovery, where you discover new tools in your spiritual toolbox. You might start from religion. You might discover lots of aspects about religion. You have lots of experiences thanks to this path. You transform multiple times, then you go back and you discover that there might be something more, and usually there is something more. Even if you think that this might be the last step, it's usually not the last step. It's just the step up. The step up to new spiritual discoveries beyond religion, the discoveries that go back to the real source of who we are and why we are here, to our true mission as human beings, to be complete, to be in oneness with each other, to be in oneness with everything that exists. This experience and enlightenment to this fullest level, to this broadest aspect, to spiritual transformation. As well, this method is about really showing you those levels that we are going through. For the physical aspect, for the root chakra, this physical energy and self-security is this point that we are traveling through. Usually as well, just having this hero's journey on this level. So physical energy and self-security, we are working on it. We are earning. We get experience on this level. As well, on the next level, So the sacral chakra, the emotions, the creativity, the sensuality, all those elements that work in here. On the solar plexus one, the personal power, the mental activity, the self-esteem, the willpower are in here. These journeys that we are going through. On the heart chakra, love and relationships, it's what we are working on. On the throat chakra is this communication, the expression, high thinking. So this much higher aspect of ourselves in terms of really perceiving the world. And on this third eye chakra is vision, the true vision, the perception, the oneness, the access to this true wisdom that we have access to, the access to this wisdom of the universe, this guiding force that really has all those answers that the mind, the intellect, has no access to. And last but not least, definitely, is this crown chakra that is seat of soul and spirituality. So if you land in there, if you develop yourself into this aspect, then your oneness, your endpoint, your culmination just awaits. And as well, this aspect of the method is that for each of those chakras you have these major stages, but as well you have these steps that you take on those stages. So really going back to this previous one and adding those additional elements is that for each aspect of us, physical, mental, emotional and spiritual aspect, we have those chakras, and for those chakras we go through those elements that we are working on in stages and then with steps on all those aspects of chakras. We have journeys. And this ultimate path that we are to discover is really to go from this extroverted perception. So perception, that is this cognitive aspect of us as human beings, so the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, the desires, the instincts, this physical body senses is the starting point. Destination that gives such a huge joy and happiness is to go to this introverted perception, this intuition, your inner voice, this content that is whole and complete, this beingness that you are not able to explain, you are not able to discover with all those other aspects, this certainty, this conviction, and this unconscious alertness. So all those aspects that you see in this intuition types, I hear, I know, I see, I feel, you then convert from human being that overanalyzes with this logical aspect and creates this new version of himself by using this creative aspect, using this highest possibilities that we have as human being, by using the intuition that is the voice of your higher self, by hearing the guidance, by being sure about things that you are going to do, just knowing, yeah, go ahead, do it, you will get full support. Just decide and stay with decision. Seeing things, seeing images, seeing the future perspective, seeing what is your destination, and feeling, being conscious of other feelings, of others as well, of really just focusing on where you are destined to go as human being. So, who am I? Who are you? What is the step of your journey? Where you are? What aspect of you are currently working on? And what step you are at on this aspect of yourself? Are you working on your physical aspect? Are you working on your mental aspect? Are you working on your spiritual aspect? Do you feel this duality still? Or do you feel in union with all the others? Are you willing to take this path of chakras, human hero's journey, and discover where you are and where you want to go, to discover your current status quo and your likely new status quo? Do you want to discover where you are right now and what might be your purpose? Do you want to discover who you are serving right now and potentially who you should be serving in the future? That is the path of chakras and human hero's journey method, this POCH method. This is this design. This is something you can use, and I highly encourage you to really discover this architecture that you can use as your framework to self-development, as your framework to growth, as your framework to be your new self. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.